Today. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have a Bud Light Detroit Lions tweet as weak as the Detroit Lions themselves. This as they attempt to come back from their business plunder of the century, which ironically started April 1st, 2023, where they paid Dylan Mulvaney $185,000 to post like 2 pictures and a video of Dylan holding a promotional can with Dylan's face on it, which should surely be in some type of marketing or business museum because of the astronomical impact it had on the business. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in sales gone and billions of stock, you could argue, temporarily erased in terms of valuation before Bill Gates came in and bought, I believe he bought at least, I believe it was $95 million of stock, just he himself. And other companies came in and bolstered the stock price so it's back up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's safe to say it's probably the business blunder of the century. Certainly worse than New Coke, which is a fiasco in and of itself. Now, Bud Light put this on their X account, or as fewer and fewer people are calling it, on Twitter, and they had a text, and geez Louise, not to brag, but, I mean, I was about to say, even I get more likes than this, but I don't think that day has come yet. Perhaps in the future it will. Now, they have a text before this little video, and I apologize if there's, I can't tell. It's always a little bit of issues with the camera, so I will subsequently be upgrading that, so I appreciate everyone's patience as I try to work on different test different softwares to increase the production of the show. But it's one of those things where every once in a while it just goes out of focus. For the life of me, I cannot understand why. And sometimes you just get lucky or not lucky. But if technology worked perfectly all the time, shoot, I wouldn't have a daily job. Now, again, going back to the actual post from Bud Light, they have a little text before this guy. It does have a picture. They say, quote, "Beers are cracking in Detroit," unquote. Which, I mean, presumably, yeah, they probably drink copious amounts of alcohol because they have to forget the fact that they live in Detroit. Don't chew, or whatever that little funny phrase is. It's one of the things where my family actually came from Detroit, and needless to say, they got out as soon as they could. And it's hilarious. As a child, I always asked my parents, "Why don't we go visit Detroit?" And they laugh and go, "Yeah, this is not going to happen." Because I was too young and naive to realize how deplorable and vacuous the state and the city had become. Though we did visit the state and go to the sports balls games for the college stadiums. But yeah, let's just say the Detroit Lions are as successful as perhaps the Chicago Bears, as well as the Chicago and Detroit economies and politics. Now, they say beers are cracking in Detroit. Now, they say they're cracking them. But hilariously enough, they don't specify to say if people are drinking it or not. Debatable. And they have a gentleman holding a can of Bud Light very effeminately, very awkward. It is hilariously awkward because he's holding the can by the very bottom in such an awkward way that you would only do if you're doing so that you can see the whole logo, which I understand it's a commercial and that's the intention, but it looks so hilariously awkward. He holds the bottom 1/4 of the can, and it is a special Bud Light can. So again, I'm not sure how mentally vacuous people are in terms of if they see sports ball logo, must buy, which I joke about that now, but people are spending hundreds of dollars on a pink Stanley Cup. So it probably does work. But it is a special Bud Light can where it has the Detroit Lions lion on it. I was going to say, maybe they took their inspiration from Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion. I don't know. Let's just say I can't remember the last time the Lions won a game. Now, it looks like he's moderately happy or perhaps inebriated, and he's pounding his chest with a fist. And I guess you can kind of see the Nike logo on his jacket. Now, in terms of statistics, these numbers are all written down 48 hours after, so the comments and everything, it had some time to brew. Pun moderately intended. And even after all that time, they only got 14,900 views, which, again, for a multi-billion-dollar brand is nothing. Not to brag, but last week I did get 500 views on a video. Granted, I would always argue for the quality. The 500 views were the awesomest views and the best fans ever, obviously. And this post only got 146 likes, which is a good reminder to like this video. Now, it's not statistically likely to get more likes than the actual Bud Light post itself, but as a wise pilot once said, never tell me the odds. So go ahead and like the video if you have 1/10 or 1/15 of a second. It's a very low burn to do, but it makes all the difference, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, again, this got 146 likes, and maybe everyone's excited about the Bud Light brand. Maybe they love it, and they're going to all post pictures of themselves. Now, granted, this isn't one where they have the sweepstakes where they try to bribe the consumers to try to win a case of Bud Light, which ironically is perhaps the best example of how someone can be a winner and a loser at the same time, since I still can't fathom anyone I know, or anyone really, who would actually be happy winning a case of Bud Light for the intended purpose of consuming the product. I think my most hilarious example I thought of thus far in terms of use cases you could do is if you're a hot air balloonist and instead of using sandbags as ballast, you could use a case of Bud Light. So when you get high and you're on the flight, if you want to go higher up in the air, you can cut off the case of Bud Light and fall to the ground. However, by falling to the ground, it could inadvertently hit someone in the head, which incidentally speaking would probably be less damaging to them than actually consuming the product and become inebriated, or heaven forbid actually having to taste it. But nevertheless, let's dive in the comments and find out. The first comment comes from Ingenious Firebrand, and they did a Photoshop, so it is the guy, and it's a really awkward smile in the picture. It's not as awkward as perhaps Ron DeSantis or Bill Mulvaney, although it might be up there. But he just photoshopped a picture of the guy behind himself, so it's like a twin behind him. I'll let your imagination go wild with what he may or may not be doing. And that got 14 likes. Now, another top comment comes from Drink Stroh's, which I suppose is a beer brand. They have a picture of Stroh's and it says American's Premium Brew Stroh's Light. They got 11 likes, so 0 for 0 Bud Light. That's not great. By the way, it's only got 32 comments, which not great for a multi-billion-dollar brand. Third comment, let's see, maybe they'll turn things around. Probably not. Let's go. Miguel Martos says, quote, after reading that experts agree that drinking Bud Light shrinks your... I'm gonna restart this quote. Cover your ears if you have the youth listening to this. Try to make this moderately family friendly, but this comment is not so much, but I'll read it nevertheless. Miguel Martos says, quote, after reading that experts agree that drinking Bud Light shrinks your scrotum and in a serious cases users cut their dicks off, I decided it was a good idea to give up Bud Light. Now that did get 11 likes as well. Derek Mesker responds, says, quote, and dicks and sacks are being tucked back, woke, unquote. They got 12 likes. Brian McCarthy chimes in saying, quote, not Bud Light, unquote, getting 8 likes. So that's 0 for 5, which I know schools in the United States are all-time low for test scores. I think the ACT test scores at 30-year low. Yet the teachers say they deserve more money, or the teachers' unions more accurately. Now, we'll do a little bit more. It's sad to say, but this may contribute more mathematical lessons in some public schools, though we know what they're teaching there. 0 out of 5 is also known as 0%. That is not good. That is quite literally 0. But maybe they'll get one. Whoa, what's this? Scrolling down more. Someone, I don't see a laser sight on his head, so I assume this person is not being taken hostage or being forced to do this. And is a gentleman smiling and holding a bottle of Bud Light? He says, you're damn right, unquote. So 1 out of 6 comments were positive. Now this comes from Mr. Tony, and he used the hashtag #allgrit and apparently used the emoji of the Detroit Lion. And it's a picture of him in a Lions jersey sitting on grandma's couch. It's kind of like the old vintage one that has the cool floral design. Fun little throwback. And he's holding a bottle of Bud Light. Now I can't help but wonder, is this a Bud Light employee or just a diehard inebriated Lions fan? Let's dive and find out. Mr. Tony has 1,223 followers, joined in 2013. His profile picture is him wearing a blue jersey, presumably a Detroit Lions jersey. He has a profile picture, or the long profile picture, or the background picture is him with some lady in glasses. And he says he loves Kristen and MMA and everything rebuilding. Sports team hashtag Detroit has to offer. Fell in love on Twitter, drive careful. All caps are drive carefully. Sports team Detroit have to offer. I was going to say, but I don't think Detroit offers more really any sports balls team. I remember my uncle talking about, I think it's the Tigers growing up. All I know is they don't have much trophies in Detroit. Not crime though. Let's see here. But I'm sure they'll change things around next year. Haha, that's a joke because statistically speaking, like Chicago, they won't. And going to his profile, I'll be damned. It looks real, so he's not doing the BS thing where every post is a repost, trying to get gift cards or some knickknack you don't need in life, like a free cooler or something like that. So, nothing, I mean, who wants a free cooler? Though a real cool company who gave away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase, like Top Technologies goes. Those guys over there are pretty cool, as I might say. But, So yeah, he's just a lot of sports balls on his Twitter or on his X account. This looks like a real positive Bud Light tweet. I think this has happened 2 or 3 times now in 2024. I should take a screenshot and print it mail it to the former CIA operative, now the CEO of Anheuser-Busch InBev. He might appreciate this. Put this in the corporate, like the break room at Anheuser-Busch, the U.S. headquarters, so I could stare at it and be like, oh my gosh, we have one fan. There is hope. Not a lot, but there's some. Now scrolling down to other comments. C. Mills says, quote, not an apology, unquote, getting 5 likes. Ryan Leverse says, no one needs those jackets, unquote. I got 1 like, which, of course, no one needs a jacket. Every man needs a suit, obviously. Nevertheless, Peter Gaffner says, quote, piss waters beer, unquote. They got 6 likes. Now, I forget one of those cultural phenomenons every other month that sees like you can or cannot say a word. And I'm not attempting to be pejorative or viscerally mean or anything like that. So in this case, I guess I'll censor the word for sensitivity. And I don't know. It's one of those words that I think you're only allowed to say it if you're part of the group, but that changes too. Now it's empowerment. But nevertheless, Steve Milsom has a GIF with the word as well. And he says, quote, Bud Light, the beer for QU, the pejorative word for the homosexual community, which that got 7 likes. Now, let's see here. Renee Rosao says, quote, not just Detroit, good and great game, unquote. I don't know about that. Ron Johnson says, quote, not Bud Translight, this beer is solely for people who don't know their sex, not even beer, it's trans beer, unquote. They got 3 likes. So the comment section is not so good. We'll keep going down. Maybe there's one more real comment, or not. I should say one more positive comment that's real, because usually the comments that are neutral or positive are just people who want free stuff, and their whole profile is just free hashtag, what is that, BS1? The hashtag millions, all this other things, so you can just win random stuff if you just repost and tag people. Which, again, I don't know how little time you have in your life to do all that, or how much time you must have in your life to do all that. Let's see here. 1 or 2 more. Alex Matthews says, quote, we ain't drinking your beer, it tastes like ass. We're drinking a golden beer, unquote. They got 4 likes, though I don't know. I've never heard of a golden beer before. Now, Julia Broderick also says, not an apology, unquote, getting 3 likes. Let's see here. Bids 1970 says, quote, that's more like warm piss, dry real beer, unquote, getting 3 likes. Let's see. Gelbrit 77 says no, and he has a juxtaposition picture of 2 pictures. One of Dylan Mulvaney dressed up like an actor in Grease with a leather jacket and looking debatably masculine, and it says before Bud Light. And then juxtaposed to the right of that is Dylan Mulvaney in a dress with girl hair, and it says after 1 sip. And that has 6 likes and counting. Let's see here. We have something from Cross the Dog, and we get a big disclaimer saying the following media includes potentially sensitive context. Of course, we're going to click that bonus button to see what it is, and it is a picture, or photoshopped, allegedly. Well, yeah, it is, but it's a picture of Allison, what is it? Not Allison Wonder, with The Wizard of Oz? I forget the actress from that film, but it's a picture of Dorothy with her face now covered up with a photoshopped picture of Dylan Mulvaney, whose awkward face, and then you have Biden behind Dylan, sniffing Dylan, and then all around the ground is bottles of the Pride Bud Light, which is the Bud Light aluminum bottle with the Pride colors painted on it. That got 1 like. And that was, let's see here. Ooh, and of course, if you go back to the very top, you have to click that secret button, because Bud Light themselves also did censor some things, as they usually do. So you click the super secret button. Let's see. Yo-Y Mao says, quote, no one wants your F hashtag G beer, unquote. They got 2 likes, and I suppose I guess they're trying to get the well, I guess they were trying to trick you into thinking it's a different word. But Bud Light saw right through that. Perhaps they're not as inebriated as we thought, and they censored that. We also have someone by the name of Adolf Schlickengruber, and they say pejorative F word, not the swear, but the pejorative other slur. You are the one who is defending F word, pig loser, unquote. That got no likes, but it did get 4 people who viewed it. Let's see here. And that's it. So as youth might say, Bud Light was ratioed as always. And again, I don't see things turning around anytime soon. And especially using the Detroit Lions. Of all the sports balls teams you can use, and again, truth be told, I know very little about sports balls. I know the business behind many of them, and truth be told, we actually work with some of them. But I know enough to know that the Lions never win, and there's not a lot of cult following. Like, at least with the Bears, there are people who will love the Chicago Bears forever for reasons. I guess loyalty, some might say, or they're just cursed being born there. Although, I was going to say, it's not like you can't escape that. Some people got out there as soon as they could. But there's a big culture of love around the Bears, even though they haven't won a game. Same with the Cowboys. The Cowboys is the pinnacle of a team that built a culture first and a brand first and kind of has a football team. I mean, for the Lions, does this inspire you to go out and buy Bud Light? And I don't see this as a win. I mean, presumably someone's going to win the Super Bowl. I guess Bud Light might throw a lot of money at them, and then that might help with sales. But they chose one of the teams that has the worst record. I mean, for just for the heck of it, let's look up their trend right now. So Detroit Lions, what do you call it? Oh my gosh, they won a game recently? I'll be danged. Let's see. What do you call it? Schedule or win ratio? Oh yeah, win loss record. Okay, let's see what they're at. So they did win some games. I'll be danged. They lost to the Bears? Really? Although that probably would have been a highly entertaining game of who's more inept. Kind of like some of the presidential nominees. Let's see here. What's their overall ranking, though? Oh, geez. Let's see here. What's their standings? Could we just say not good? Let's see here. They have 570. Okay. This comes from Wikipedia, so it has to be true. This quote, as of the end of the 2023 regular season, the Lions have an all-time record of 591 wins and 707 losses. Wow. That's not great. When was the last time they won the Orange Bowl, the Super Bowl? It's not just regular bowl, it's super. It's not bigger. Let's see. Which, hilariously enough, was it the college one or the pro one? They named it as a parody because they thought the other organization was so ridiculous, so they named it. I think the Super Bowl was the one where they thought it was so ridiculous colleges did that and named things after a bowl. Nevertheless, let's see here. Detroit, Super Bowl, last win. When did they win a Super Bowl last? Since the 1957 championship, the franchise has only won 2 playoff games, one during a 1991 season and one during a 2023 season. Really? They are the only franchise operation for the entire Super Bowl they're the only franchise operation for the entirety of the Super Bowl era not to appear in the Super Bowl. That means even the Panthers have? That's almost impossibly bad. It's almost impressive how inept they are. Perhaps that's why they're the perfect match for a partnership with Bud Light. They have so much in common, I suppose. But in all reality, let me know, does this inspire you to go out and enjoy perhaps tolerate is a better word, the taste of Bud Light and buy some beers? As always, be happy to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so click that button. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a comment and a like or even a thumbs down is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.